Would you believe me if I told you the Golden State Warriors picked 2 players before Draymond Green in the 2012 NBA draft? The Warriors had 3 draft picks that year. We all know the first one of those picks was used to draft Harrison Barnes at the 7th spot, while another one was used to draft Draymond Green at the 35th spot.
The 35th pick in the 2012 NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors select Draymond Green.
But did you know that the Warriors also had the 30th pick, which they used to draft Festus Ezeli, whom they thought would be better than Dre Magic? Everyone was passing on Draymond back in the day, and I need a beer. I'm going to look at some of the players that went before Draymond Green in the 2012 NBA draft that I don't think deserved their draft spots, and I'll share why I think those players could have possibly been drafted before Draymond Green, but I'll also take into account the type of player Draymond Green was while he was in college and his impact on the NBA today. Draymond Green really is a hell of a player, but if I'm being totally honest, a few of the players that got drafted before Draymond probably deserve to have been drafted before Draymond, so I won't mention monsters like AD or Beal today. Let's jump straight into the list of players, starting with the number 2 pick that was used to draft Michael Kidd-Gilchrist by the Charlotte Bobcats. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, or MKG, is a 6'6" forward that was drafted out of Kentucky, where he spent 1 season in the NCAA. He was on the NCAA Wildcats championship team and made the NCAA Final Four all-tournament team. He was a pretty good college player who averaged 11 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. Even though his averages weren't too bad, I'm not sure if this number 2 spot in the draft was warranted. Ever since he came into the NBA, he's only been averaging 8 points and 5 rebounds per game. Michael Jordan probably regrets he didn't pick Draymond Green with this 2nd overall pick. The next player who was drafted ahead of Dre Magic that I don't think deserved his draft position was Thomas Robinson. I know that most of you are asking, who the heck is Thomas Robinson? I must admit I really didn't know who he was before I did research for this video. Thomas Robinson is a 6'10" big that was drafted 5th by the Sacramento Kings. He went to college in Kansas. After being drafted, Robinson averaged under 5 points and under 5 rebounds while playing for 6 different NBA teams. His college career, however, was not too bad as he averaged 17 points and 11 rebounds in his final year at Kansas. Honestly, the Sacramento Kings can't be faulted for drafting what they thought would have been a quality big man that was shooting over 50% from the field, 50% from the three-point line, while averaging 17 points and almost 12 rebounds per game. This pick would seem to have been a solid pick at the time, and I can understand it, but looking back, I think the Kings would have taken a number of players over Thomas Robinson if they were given a do-over. For the next player, let me choose one of the more popular guys from the list, Austin Rivers. Austin Rivers got drafted at the 10th spot in the 2012 draft by the New Orleans Hornets.
The New Orleans Hornets select Austin Rivers from Duke University.
Yes, I know Rivers just made some big shots for the Denver Nuggets and helped them to get past the Portland Trail Blazers, but was he a better player than Draymond Green in 2012? And is he a better player than Draymond Green now? Back then, the New Orleans Hornets only had one bona fide shooting guard on their roster when they drafted Austin Rivers, and that was Ben Gordon. So I can understand their need for a backup shooting guard. However, there were so many other options that would have been better choices in the draft. For example, Evan Fournier, Chris Middleton, and Draymond Green. Next on my list of players that I don't think deserve the spot they got ahead of Draymond is Kendall Marshall.
The Phoenix Suns select Kendall Marshall.
The name Kendall Marshall sounds very familiar, like I should know it, but I can't figure out why. Kendall Marshall was drafted by the Phoenix Suns with the 13th pick in the draft after spending a few years at North Carolina. This pick would not be a pick I would agree with if I was a part of the Suns fan base. The Phoenix Suns had an experienced Sebastian Telfair and a young Goran Dragic at the point guard position, so it may not have been the best thing to spend the 13th pick on another point guard that would clearly be a project. This is magnified even more when the power forward and small forward positions needed to be bolstered. This would have been a pick that Draymond Green would definitely be suited for, considering the fact that Draymond Green is a 6'6" forward who could have easily been interchanged between the power forward and small forward positions. Well, maybe not too much the small forward, but you get what I mean. Unfortunately, the Phoenix Suns did not see things that way and drafted a player not named Draymond Green. After the Phoenix Suns missed the opportunity to grab Draymond Green at the 13th spot to fill the hole at their forward position, the Houston Rockets, 3 picks later, went on to draft a power forward from Iowa State named Royce White. Who is Royce White, everybody asks? Well, guys, Royce White is a 6'8" power forward that averaged 13 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists in one season for the Iowa State Cyclones. Let's compare these numbers with Draymond Green's college numbers. Draymond averaged 10 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists in his 4 years at Michigan State. But Royce White only played 1 year at Iowa State. So if we were to use only the final year that Draymond spent at Michigan State, he would have stats of 16 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. Those numbers are clearly better than those of White's. To add to this, Draymond's 4 years in college meant that he spent more time developing his game in a highly competitive environment for an exceptional college program. This pick is definitely one that the Houston Rockets messed up. Tyler Zeller was the pick that went right after Royce White. Tyler Zeller was drafted 17th by the Dallas Mavericks and immediately was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. He is another big man that went before Draymond Green that I know 100% would not have gone if the GM who made the pick was asked to do it again. So why did Dallas decide to draft Tyler Zeller? Well, you see, the Mavericks had a lot of centers on their roster, but these guys were not the very productive types, and they were getting up there in age, most of them at least. I'm guessing Tyler Zeller would have been a young piece to develop to insert into the lineup after these older guys were no longer on the roster. Even if that was the case, the Mavericks could have drafted Draymond Green to play behind Dirk Nowitzki, and they would have gotten a much better player in the draft. Next on the list is the 18th pick made by the Houston Rockets, Terrence Jones. Boy, the Rockets definitely biffed their picks in this draft. Again, they had another opportunity to draft Draymond Green to fill the gap they were trying to fill out at the power forward spot. But instead, they decided to go with Terrence Jones. I'm not sure if I can justify this pick, guys. Terrence Jones is a 6'9" power forward that spent 2 years at Kentucky and is no longer in the NBA. In his final year at Kentucky, he posted 12 points and 7 rebounds per game. Those numbers are significantly less than Draymond's 16 points and 10 rebounds in his final year at Michigan State. So why did the Rockets draft him? Only the Rockets and God knows the answer to that question. Andrew Nicholson is the next guy on the list that Draymond Green should have been considered for. Andrew Nicholson is a 6'9" power forward that got drafted in the 19th spot by the Orlando Magic.
The Orlando Magic select Andrew Nicholson.
Guys, have you realized that a lot of players on our list aren't even in the NBA today? The truth is, some of these players really find it difficult to transition successfully from college to the NBA. Take this guy, Andrew Nicholson, for example. In his 4 years in college, he managed to average 17 points and 7 rebounds while shooting over 70% from the free throw line. He even had a 20-point, 7-rebound season. What happened when he got to the NBA? He spent 6 seasons in the NBA and only managed to put up 6 points and 3 rebounds. We can't blame the coaches because he bounced around on 3 different teams. He was the common denominator. Given his collapse in the NBA, I think we can all agree that Draymond Green should have been the power forward that got drafted by the Orlando Magic at this spot. To be totally honest, guys, there are so many players that got drafted before Draymond Green that I don't think deserve the spot they got. So don't feel too bad if someone you thought should have been on this list isn't. But Draymond Green turned out to be one of the most important pieces for this very successful Warriors team. Have you ever wondered, however, why the man is always so goddamn intense? I mean, he's always running at what seems to be 100 miles per hour. If you're not sure, then click this video here where I go over how Draymond got to be so intense growing up. It's a big video here, guys, packed with emotions. Click it, guys, watch the video, and I'll see you on the other side.